Yeah.
You are listening to The Black Landscape with Andrea Spearman, where Black excellence is always trending. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Andrea Spearman, and this is The Black Landscape, where we engage with emerging and established Black leaders here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to leave a 5-star review of the show on Apple Podcasts. Today's episode is sponsored by B-Love's Guest House. More about them later. I'm Andrea Spearman. I'm a light-skinned Black woman with big curly red hair. Today I'm wearing my pink glasses and a light blue muscle shirt that reads in white letters, "Because of Black music, I am." Today we are here with actor Kenny Scott. Please describe yourself to the people.
Hi, I'm Kenny Scott. I am a light-skinned Black man, bald with a short beard. I'm wearing a gray t-shirt with a green corduroy overshirt on top.
Nice. So the actor, Kenny Scott, where did you come from? How did you start in this world of theater? Because you're from here in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, so I was born here in Oakland. My whole family has, been here in the Bay Area for like the last 100 years.
Oh, okay, come on.
Yeah. My family is rooted deep here in the East Bay. I actually grew up on the East Coast, though. Born here, lived here until I was 8, but moved to the East Coast. My mom, she went to Howard University and worked at Howard growing up. So
come on,
I grew up, yeah. So I grew up in the DC area. I've been back in the Bay Area for about 10 years now. Actually, almost 11 years come this January. It has felt like coming home. It has felt like I was always meant to be here, And this is also, coming back to the Bay Area was how I got my start in the theater community here when I was about 25.
When did the theater bug hit you? When did it bite you?
Yeah, so when I was about 25, I had a counselor. I moved out here. I didn't know what I was going to do with my time, with my life. I was taking some classes at Laney College, and I had this counselor who was trying to help me out with anxiety and how to get over my issues with public speaking, and she suggested I take like a public speaking class, and I was like, "No, that's boring. I'm going to take an improv class." And so I took improv, and then I took some of the Laney College's acting classes with Michael Torres, and
shout out to Michael Torres.
Shout out to Michael Torres, and that snowballed into me, joining their student theater run program group that they have there, the Fusion Theater Company. And then it just snowballed into me auditioning for other theater companies and working around the Bay Area. And here I am, I've been doing it professionally for about 7 years now, all thanks to the Laney Theater program. Definitely.
That's so wonderful because I too have taken courses at Laney and it's been a large part of my development as an artist. I was in the dance department for the most part, but I definitely, took my requisite theater classes as well and participated in the theater community there. So, yeah, that campus really has a lot to offer when it comes to folks seeking careers in the arts.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I knew that I'd always wanted to be an artist. When I first went to college, I studied like marketing and fashion merchandising. And then I went to culinary school and studied baking and pastry making. And so, it was like, for me, it was like third time's the charm, coming out here, having already been to college, but still feeling lost and still feeling, unsure of what I want to do with myself. And so it really was, theater really was the thing that really saved me in my mid-20s. It really was the driving force for change, for growth, for purpose in my life. So I'm very grateful.
What I picked out of that was that you know how to cook. That's what I heard in the mix there.
I could do a little bit. I was focusing on baking and pastry making, but I could cook too.
That's all right. You listen. Everybody loves birthday cake.
I
Some
make a
birthday
good cheesecake
cupcakes.
though.
Oh, a cheesecake. Now, see, listen, are you single, sir?
My apple pie is also fantastic.
Oh, see, you're going to have people really trying to find you now. Cheesecake is delicious, right? Yes. But yeah, that's amazing how it's like, you always knew it's like I have to express myself in some way. And that's how it happens for a lot of people. It's like you dip into these different mediums of expression, and then you finally find that one that really speaks to you and like sparks that joy inside. And what was like one of the first plays that you did on stage?
Like in college or outside of college?
Pre-professional
Professional.
on stage. Yes.
So my first opportunity on stage that I was being paid for was actually with shotgun players in Berkeley. I had been doing like set construction and some other like non-performative like opportunities there at the theater, but they are doing this show Brownsville Song B-side for Trey.
Oh,
What
okay.
was it? I think that was the whole name. It was definitely called Brownsville Song, but one of the actors had a conflict with like the final extension week of performances, and they were like, do you want to come in and audition for this? Do you want to come in and just step in and do the final like week of performances? And I was like, yeah. I was so nervous, and I did it. I had like 2 weeks to like learn the whole role and get off book and learn all the blocking. And it was directed by Margot Hall, and
Yes.
she was like, you don't have a lot of time, if you just make me believe it on stage, and then you'll be good. And I did the best that I can, and it was the whole cast was super supportive. The whole theater was like super supportive. I was so new. This was my first time, and but I felt very welcomed. I felt very supported. I felt very very held in that moment, and that week ended up being just an incredible week for me, for the show, and just that 1 week of performances opened up other opportunities for me. Yeah, that was the first one. I'll never forget it.
Wow. Yeah, because being thrown into something with a very short amount of time to get it together, I don't envy those situations, but clearly it sharpened you.
Yeah, it was definitely a steep learning curve. But like I said, like it opened up doors, because it was for that week of performances that I was seen by a director that put me in her show like later that year, and it was because of like that being in that next show that I got the following show after that. So
Yes.
it was, I was really 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 very fortunate. Yeah.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And did you come from like an artistic family?
Yes and no. There are a lot of artists in my family, but also, a lot of the older members of my family, they didn't have the opportunity to pursue the arts like I think they wish they could have, and they didn't have the support that they were able to show me, that they didn't have that support for, on their end. I think about my grandparents who worked very, very hard to provide for my parents and for me, growing up in a time in which being an artist really wasn't an option, for people of their generation. But, at the same time, like one of my grandmothers, she worked very hard her whole life, but she retired, and now she's like a novelist. Now she writes.
Yes.
She has published so many books. She's I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, but she's had like 2 of her books adapted into like Lifetime movies, So
what's Grand's name?
My grandmother, her name is R. Franklin James, her pen name. So like, yeah, there are artists in my family, but honestly, my experience in the arts definitely evolved independently, because I grew up like on the East Coast, thousands of miles away from the bulk of my family. It really was. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe it's something I inherited. but it's definitely something that I discovered, on my own. But also with, tons of encouragement and support from my mom and my dad, who have always been super supportive of all the things I tried to do.
Well, that's wonderful that you had such internal support. And, as you said, with the cast and the people over at Shotgun, you felt held. I said, ooh, felt
Hmm.
held. Like, yes, like people lifted you up and supported you because,
Hmm.
the Bay Area and like the larger world of theater can sometimes be very harmful to Black actors and actresses. What has been your experience so far? And like, how do you deal with any potential situations?
It's tricky. I've been very fortunate. I feel like I have been very intentional about the places that I work and the community that I've sort of built for myself here in the Bay Area within the theater community. But I still have experienced harm, just like most everybody. I still have had casting people. I still have had donors. I still have had patrons. I've had directors. I've had other artists, say really out of pocket stuff. The unfortunate reality is sometimes there's things you can't protect yourself from.
Mm,
Sometimes harm will come at you from an angle that you didn't even realize could come at you. Sometimes it comes from people that you respect. Sometimes it comes from people that you admire. I'm fortunate that when I got into this industry, I was already a little older, that I already had a little bit of lived experience before I even embarked on this career.
mm,
And so I think that really helped me to have perspective and, be able to focus on what was important to me. But ultimately, there are moments where I saw that and maybe I could call it out. Maybe I felt empowered to say something in the moment, but there were also moments where I'm like, man, I feel small, like, wow, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to say here. And, things that just kind of sit with you. I do feel fortunate that, since I've been doing this for a few years, there have been more moments now where I speak out. I say something. I'm like, hold up, no, you're not going to talk like that. You're not going to say that to me or anyone else. You're not going to treat people like that. And here's why. Here's why that was inappropriate. Here's how I would appreciate, our communication going forward. So
hmm
you do the best that you can. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it's not.
No, I get that. Yeah, it can be eye opening to
Yeah.
say the least when especially as you said from people that you thought you were looking up to or holding to a higher level of respect and understanding, a higher
Hmm.
level of communication and just character.
Yeah,
And to feel like it can come out of nowhere is it does hit you a little bit different than just like say a random audience member.
yeah, it is something else, and I think the further I've been able to go, and I've been very fortunate in my career, and the further that I've been able to go, the bigger opportunities, which also meant like, the bigger the people I've been fortunate to work with. And I remember I did this show with this guy that that I had seen in movies, and that I was like, oh man, I'm excited to work with him. I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait. And it was a white man, and he said the N word in the green room to like while telling a joke, and I was like, what? What?
Like, oh no, oh
What?
no, bro,
I was
oh
looking for
no.
what? I was looking forward to this. Like, what you mean? Like, I was so excited to, and then he just dropped this bomb, and then he came back like the next day and apologized, and it was whatever. But it was like one of those things where, like, man, this is deeply upsetting,
Mhm.
or like, having moments where it's like, so much of theater, so much of the arts is because of like super wealthy donors, super wealthy patrons, people who contribute tons of money to, different arts organizations. And, that sometimes that brings about a feeling of entitlement
Oh,
with them.
absolutely.
And, I remember I remember I was on a panel discussion and having this older woman coming up to me after I was doing this panel discussion on being Black in the theater. And this woman came up to me and she, started telling me why she thinks white people are so intimidated by Black people. How she was so down with Black people, and she boiled it all down to, and this is a thing, this is an adult thing, but she boiled it all down to like the Black man's sexual prowess. And here I am on stage still, like after talking about microaggressions within not just the Black community, but like within the theater community. And here this woman who just heard this panel of Black voices talking about the awful things that we face every day. And here she comes just like sexualizing an entire group of people without consent, without warning, without asking. And also it was just like the most ignorant, most tone deaf, most just complete lack of self-awareness that I experienced at that point. And it was just like jarring, like I didn't even know what to say. Like
it went in one ear and out the other. All she could think about was how sexy you looked up there. That was it.
Man, could you imagine?
She wasn't paying attention to nothing.
I was straight up like I didn't even say nothing. I think I was just like mouth open, like what,
like,
I think I laughed. I walked away just laughing at the ridiculous, the absurdity of it, and then you face things so casually all the time, I remember earlier in my career getting like, emails, casting emails where they're like, we're looking for young Black urban thugs. And I'm like, why would I audition for this? Why are you, what do you see when you look at me that you want to cast me as young urban thug? Or like things like that seem small, that seem, but
right. But why is it always a thug? Why you just can't be an urbanite?
I don't, why, but like, the language with which we use in the theater, the language with which, seems so, common and, simple, but it's really not. It's harmful. And yeah. It's you face a lot, even when I feel like I haven't faced all that much, even when I know so many other artists who have faced so much worse. Like, even though I feel fortunate, even though I feel blessed, even though I feel very lucky, I still face that stuff. I still face it,
Yeah, that's all right. We're not going to let anybody stop our shine.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because guess what, ma'am? You still paid your $65 for this show. Thank you very much. Good night.
Yeah.
And I thank you.
Now, don't need your opinions, but right. We'll take your money.
Right. Yes. And with that, we're going to take a short break. To catch up on previous episodes of The Black Landscape, download on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, and Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And guess what? We're on YouTube now, too. They finally got it together, y'all. We're on YouTube, too, so check it out. Be sure to leave a review, 5 stars if you love us. When we come back, we will hear more from Kenny Scott. Looking for a one-of-a-kind retreat from the day-to-day grind? Welcome to Oakland's urban wellness paradise. B Love's Guest House is a boutique hotel with an art gallery and urban garden. Established in 2008 and set in a lovely Victorian home, B Love's Guest House is a perfect stay for the visiting artist, digital nomad, or business professional. Black woman owned, B Love's is an extension of artist and activist Tracy B. Lowe Bartlow's lifestyle of wellness and creativity. Book your stay online right now by visiting b-lovesguesthouse.com. No. We are back with the actor's actor, Kenny Scott. Now, your people sent me the information about this new play that you're going to be in called King James. Mm-hmm. What is this about? Because it's about LeBron, but it's not about LeBron.
No, yeah, King James by Rajiv Joseph at TheatreWorks Silicon Valley. We open October 12th. Come check it out. It's called King James, yes, and it's about two best friends who bond over their mutual love of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so it takes place over the course of 12 years of their friendship, the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs. And a lot of it is set with the backdrop of LeBron James's journey from starting at the Cleveland Cavaliers, leaving to go play for Miami, and then going back to Cleveland to win the championship. You know, a lot of it deals with like being alone, and a lot of the play deals with really going after what you want, really staying motivated, and knowing that your truth and what you want to do sometimes is at odds with what other people expect of you or what other people want of you. But at the heart of it, it's about two best friends, two bros, two guys, Matt and Shawn, whose relationship, their friendship just really deepens over time, over years, how they grow as not only as individuals, but also as best friends.
Nice. And for the setup on the stage, do they have y'all in like the stadium seats? Did they build this up for y'all?
Actually, no. The majority of the play takes place. There are two locations in the play. The first is a wine bar. It's a wine bar in Cleveland, and then the second half of the play is set in like an antique sort of shop, antiques and tchotchkes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's about family. It's about friendship. It's about growth, with the backdrop of basketball looming over the boat.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely not what I was expecting when they sent me the information. So that's really great to have you reframe that for us, because I'm excited to see it. And at first I was like, what does this got to do with LeBron and them? And in my mind, I definitely picture something else. But it's good to hear it's more about brotherhood, male companionship, friendship, enduring.
Yeah,
growth.
Yeah. And if you're a basketball fan, if any of your listeners are basketball fans, they may remember how big LeBron James coming into the NBA was. I mean, it was a big deal, and him playing for Cleveland. I mean, this brought a sense of hope for that community and that team, and then his leaving was devastating.
Yeah, I remember.
Right,
people were upset.
People were upset, and of course, looking at his career now and all that he's done, it's that those ups and downs, but still, here's a man who made the best choices that he could and went after what he felt was important to him.
It's just so interesting how one person can have such an impact on others. Yeah. Tell us again where it's going to be. What dates and times? Tell the people where they can come and see.
TheatreWorks, Silicon Valley. Come see King James by Rajiv Joseph, directed by Giovanni Fedeli. It'll be October 9th through November 3rd. Yeah, I'm excited for people to see it. It's gonna be a fun time.
Nice. Yeah, and as we continue talking about theater and Blackness, what is some advice that you would have for like this, you're not that old, but for the next generation, the people who are in school now, the high schoolers, the college folks, next generation of Black actors and actresses?
I would say that this industry, this career has brought so much positive change and growth in my life. It has done wonders for like my mental, my emotional health, and my general well-being. I think it's satisfying. I think there's a lot of love. There's a lot of beauty to be witnessed, to be a part of, to be experienced within this industry, within this career. And I say that do your best to find other artists whose values are in alignment with your own. There are a lot of theaters, there are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of groups, there are a lot of people out there that are doing their best to make this community a better place, to make it a safer place, and to really highlight and hold up the voices, the experiences of all POC and of all artists in general. And so there's a lot of opportunities out there to do that and be a part of that. And I think that's what's most exciting to me. And that's what I always encourage, younger artists to focus on. Just focus on what makes you happy. And you will be tested. There will be times in which you want to move away. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's healthy. Sometimes, doing something else brings perspective. And sometimes that's how you find, further growth. I think a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers, because of the pandemic, because of the living document, have made, choices to move away from theater at times, to pursue other passions, but also, still open to coming back, still focusing on being on stage. And we love storytelling. We love using our bodies to make art. If that's at your core, if that's what's important to you, it's important to me, then, never be ashamed, pursue it as hard as you can, but also being open to other experiences, because that's how you grow.
You never know where those baking skills gonna come in handy.
You never know.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today, Kenny.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great. I was so nervous, but this has been a really incredible experience. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and please tell the audience where they can find you online.
You could find me online at Kenny_Scott. I think no. What's my Instagram handle? I don't know it off the top of my head. It's Kenny_SCXTT on Instagram. I don't do a lot of social media, but that's where you can follow me at. And of course, please come see King James at TheatreWorks Silicon Valley.
Well, see, you got to up your social media game. You have to at least post a flyer for the show.
I will do that for you. My social media game. All right, my advice to young artists is don't be like me. Stay on top of your social media game. Don't be like Kenny Scott on social media.
Right, you got to be active.
You got to promote yourself. Don't be afraid to promote yourself.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And these links, that one link, the Instagram link,
I feel so
and the show link, and the show link will be in our show notes. Tap in to support Black creativity. Thank all of you out there for listening and supporting another season. Again, leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts or in the comments of our social media where I'm very active. This has been another episode of The Black Landscape with Andrea Spearman, where Black excellence is always trending.